Welcome to App Explorer's interview edition. And this week we're chatting to a man behind one of the apps that I think is definitely one to get on the South African app space. Not only does it allow you to send free messages, but there's also a fintech component to it that was launched recently. Gour, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you very much for inviting me. Pleasure.
So the Moya app is actually one of the first apps we've featured on appexplorers.com because it allows free messaging for South Africans. Can you tell us a little bit about how this app came to be and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, the first thing I'd like to emphasize is there's a big difference in the world of apps and mobile internet between free, meaning it doesn't cost you to get an app or access something, and data free. So Moya is a data free app, meaning there is no data cost. Not only is it free, it's data free. So to use Moya, you don't need data, or if you have data on your SIM card, it won't take from your data balance. And if your SIM card balance is zero, airtime, zero data, a data-free app like Moya still works. So it's on all 4 networks in South Africa. So whichever network you're on, Moya is data-free. A very important thing in this part of the world is that it works even when you run out of airtime data. So the frustration of other platforms like WhatsApp, say, which you can't use if your bundles run out or you have no data, with Moya, it's always on, irrespective of whether you have data on your SIM card. You asked the question. My background is I was born in Zimbabwe and grew up there, finished high school, went overseas to the UK for a number of years, and then Australia, where I've lived for longer than anywhere, Sydney, Australia. And I moved back here to this part of the world 3 years ago and have very much enjoyed being here and live in Cape Town and spend a lot of my working time in Joburg as well.
So your app has been around for a while, and I believe it's gained quite a lot of traction from what I've seen. Now with your latest edition in the fintech space, the Moya paid version or the edition, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Moya started out, its first value proposition was data-free messaging, so like WhatsApp, but no data cost. So you don't need data and you get all the messaging functionality that you get in WhatsApp, same in Moya, chat groups, media, and all the rest of it, but it's data-free. It's important to point out that in Moya, the text messaging is data-free. If you want to send attachments or media, you get a little warning saying this is not data-free. You can send it, but it will use your data, but otherwise messaging is data-free. In Moya, we then added a whole new feature in Moya, which we call Discover, which is a whole range of well over 200 or more content services for news, weather, sport, soccer scores, job searching, all kinds of stuff, celebrity news, all inside Moya. So not only in Moya can you message data free, you can access all these content services data free. So it's really yeah. And under COVID regulations, there's a whole lot of zero rated services out there, education websites, universities, and what have you. We put them all in Moya as well because they're all data free. So there's a whole collection of data free services in Moya. So in the early days of people using Moya, if not all their friends were yet using Moya for messaging, they still had plenty of engagement in the app to consume all these content services and enjoy that. So Moya is much more than just messaging. There's an overused word in the industry today. Everyone wants to be one, a super app. In other words, an app that does many things. Moya definitely is in that category. And I think much more about a comparison with WeChat in China, where not only can you chat and message and so on, but there's well over 1 million services inside that one app in China. It's extraordinary.
Isn't the Moya app one of the first super apps, at least one of the first that I've seen?
Well, I think if you spoke to the likes of Vodacom and MTN and a few others, they would contend that their apps are super apps. So, it's a loose definition, and it's a bit of a popular buzzword to say I'm a super app. There's very few genuine super apps. There are a handful around the world that have huge traction, and the value proposition is really this one app does many things. And one bit of research we did leading up to the decision to do Moya was some research which we've collected a huge amount of data around, that the average smartphone user in South Africa has a very low propensity to install apps on their phone. And we actually did structured research into understanding that question. And the number one reason people are reluctant or can't install apps on their phones in South Africa is there's no space on their phone. So a lot of the mid-level or lower-level devices, smartphone devices, are short of space. They only have limited storage, and there's just no space to install apps, especially after they've been filled up with photos and videos and other things that people share. So I know absolutely the majority of people in South Africa, meaning more than 50%, have less than 5 apps installed on their phone that they installed. That is day-to-day life for most people in South Africa. So the idea, the Silicon Valley inspired idea that there's an app for everything and you can have 60 apps on your phone to do all those different things, does not resonate at all with the average citizen in South Africa who's got less than 5 apps, because there's no space and data costs to download and so on. So the concept of a super app, one app that does many things, has a huge value proposition to people here, because they don't need 60 apps. They just need one app that does 300 things. What a pleasure. And when you make it data free, it's even, wow, okay, now the world's different, the world's changed. And that's really is what Moya is. So
what is behind this? I mean, this undertaking is quite a mammoth one. I can't imagine it being easy. Obviously, it's a much needed type of application. What's kind of behind it, and kind of what about if advertising doesn't pan out? Surely that is, that's also part of, that could be a part of an issue if that doesn't happen.
Well, it's an interesting thing. A lot of the digital media world assumes that it's all an ad model, because that's what everything online is. It's largely ad revenue driven, and we've got a lot more going on than ad revenue. In fact, ad revenue is a small part of what we're doing. So I'm very keen to point out that it's not an ad-driven model. Lots of those models have been around for many years on the internet. I'm a bit of an internet veteran. I was first working in the internet space in the mid-90s or late 90s in dial-up modem days. And I've seen this model repeated over and over again, and it never works. The idea that you get people to watch ads and then that earns revenue, and you sort of they get free stuff or whatever. I'm certain that that is not a viable advertising proposition. No advertiser wants to spend money on advertising to people that are being paid to watch the ad. It doesn't have the same value. So Moya is not, sure, there's an ad revenue stream in Moya, but it's just a part of what we do, and it by no means, not at all, dominates the user experience. In fact, you may not even notice the ads in Moya. So they're like on any other digital platform, but in a very palatable and non-intrusive way in general. And Moya's got a lot more than ad revenue going on. So it is an expensive undertaking. It's a major investment, and with big ambitions. So, think big online, go for it and do something big, not small, is really where we're coming from. And, the real strategy of Moya, if to be open about it, is to create an audience platform at scale of a significant number of people in South Africa. And it happens to be the mass market audience, if for want of a better phrase, it's the average person, whatever that means in South Africa. It's not just people with fancy phones and lots of data and Wi-Fi and whatever. It's everybody in South Africa. Moya has a clear value proposition. It's data-free messaging, data-free content, and that is a mass market audience that many, lots of businesses of various kinds are trying to reach and engage with. And sure, advertising is part of that, but there's plenty of other engagement. It could be NGOs, university students, education sector, all kinds of enterprises of various kinds are looking for ways to reach that audience online. And the problem with it doing that online, as much as the online world would have convinced you that everybody's online and it's easy, the reality is many people in South Africa are not online nearly as much as you would think, because data cost is an issue. It's a big issue here, and we all know that. And you can't just ignore it and say, oh no, everyone's online. So, I'll give you the example. Facebook, almost certainly the vast majority of people online in South Africa have a Facebook account, but they're not in Facebook that much because it's expensive on data. In fact, the biggest social media news feed in South Africa easily is WhatsApp statuses. It's not Facebook or Instagram, which is very small, because WhatsApp statuses are simple, easy, and it's part of a WhatsApp bundle. And the average person here who says, I'm going to update my status, probably means they're updating their status in WhatsApp. but there's no marketing engagement opportunity in WhatsApp statuses. So it's largely closed to the world of digital media. So all the focus goes on Facebook, who've done a fantastic job of convincing everyone, the industry at large, that everyone's on Facebook spending lots of time there, and all you need to do is advertise there and you find them, but you don't. I know the consumer brand or consumer, FMCG type sector trying to reach their audiences online struggles because they're not in Facebook. So they still use TV, broadcast media of various sorts because that's where they are. Then they're not jawling around in Facebook because they aren't willing to spend the data cost to do that. And they can't reach them in WhatsApp really. So Moya is really the strategy to say, here's an audience platform of the average, most people in South Africa, highly engaged because it's data free, and there's multiple ways to engage that audience aside from advertising. So really, we're actually offering an alternative audience platform to Facebook, Google, which plugged all the main websites in South Africa plugged into those ad platforms. Moya is an alternative, and it's a hard to reach audience.
Oh, interesting. I was actually not aware of that. So anybody can actually then publish content on your platform.
Yeah. So I'll show you Moya in a minute. So not only do we have messaging, we have a whole content area. We can take any website anywhere in the world, but certainly here, and put it into Moya in about 15 minutes, and it will be data free. But there is a data cost to having that website in Moya. So the primary value proposition to a website publisher that wants to engage the audience is, we can add you into Moya. People will walk in your door. You don't need to run ads and get clicks and all the rest of it. Thousands of people will come and engage with your website, and you pay the data cost for that. So actually, we charge megabytes of data usage rather than cost per clicks or cost per view of ads, etc. And when you do the numbers, and oftentimes it's cheaper than buying ads on Google, Facebook, to get the audience to click out of where they are at their data cost to come and engage with your website. And you're lucky if you get a 1% click-through rate. In Moya, you just put your website in there, tens of thousands of people walk through the door, engage with the website, and you pay the data cost. And it's cheaper than the ad cost to get the traffic in the first place. So you don't need to advertise in Moya. You just need to be in Moya. It's like, I often make an analogy with shopping malls. If you're a shop on a street somewhere, you've got to market yourself to make people aware that you exist, and they go out of their way to come and visit your shop. Your alternative is to go into the shopping mall. So you go to where the people are rather than trying to get them to come to you. And when you're in the shopping mall, people walk in the door because they walk past, say, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what that's about. And they come and engage with your, there's a different cost model to being in a shopping mall, but that's why businesses go to shopping malls, and why people go to shopping malls, because they get it all in one place and they don't have to drive around the place to visit all the shops. It's all in the one place. Well, that's Moya. It's a very simple analogy, but it's profoundly true.
And now, obviously, the addition of a fintech component is the perfect upgrade.
So a primary piece missing in what I've described so far is a transaction capability, and one that makes sense to the average person in South Africa, that isn't expensive. As sophisticated and well regulated as the banking industry is in South Africa, the problem is it's expensive. You put your money in your bank, it's kept safe, but they charge you to take it out. Actually, most people pay transaction fees or account charges plus fees to get your money out. So if you have 100 Rand in Capitec, you don't have 100 Rand in Capitec. You've got something less than that because there's a fee to get it out, to pay it, to draw cash, do a card transaction or whatever it is. A large number of people here resent that, actually, because it's hard-earned money, and I don't want you to charge me to spend my money, is the consumer view. Which is partly why, amongst other reasons, you get long 3-hour queues at ATMs at the end of the month, because everyone's getting their money out because they don't want to pay the fees to spend it otherwise, and they don't want the direct debit industry to come and gouge that value before they've got a chance to get it out. So they take it out. So online commerce in South Africa is challenged because, one, you've got to get the traffic and engagement, but the propensity of the average person in South Africa to put a card in or spend money online it's one of the most difficult things for any online commerce proposition, is the payment option. And as much as you've got payment gateways for cards and EFTs and all the rest of it, there's very high friction and resistance. So online commerce works great for higher LSMs who are quite happy to transact in that way, but for the average citizen in a township in Joburg, fat chance you're going to get them to put a card in that they don't want to use, which they may not have, and if they do use it, they're going to pay a fee to the bank for the privilege of doing that transaction. Doesn't make any sense. So what we've released last week is Moya Pay, which is a full-blown wallet, a money account inside Moya, inside the one app. We have nearly 5 million monthly active users on Moya in South Africa.
Wow.
So Moya Pay is immediately available to all those users. They don't have to download, install another app, and go through that process. It's just in Moya. So in Moya, you can transfer money from any bank account into Moya Pay. You can get paid your wages or salaries. You can have people scan your QR code, pay with any app they have. Any banking app, Zapper or whatever, can pay money into a Moya Paid account at no cost to the consumer, or generally speaking. And when the money is in their account, or their employers paid them, or their casual work, they can get tips from people in the street instead of having to have cash. We do not charge people to spend their money. If you have 100 Rand in a Moya Paid wallet, it's yours. And if you spend it, there is no cost to spending your money. So the business model in Moya Paid is more to look at, it's a bit like reverse billing. Let's look at the business side of things. People being paid are much happier to pay a fee to be paid than once they've been paid, they don't have to pay to spend that money. So Moya Paid has a very fundamental philosophy of being very low cost. There's no monthly account charge. It's free to register. It's free to spend your money. It's data free, of course, because it's in Moya. So whether or not you've got airtime data, you've always got your Moya Paid account on your phone. You can be paid and pay. You can be paid from any bank account. You can transfer to any bank account. You can pay in shops like ShopRite, Checkers, and so on. You can pay at the till for your purchases. You can draw cash out at a Checkers, ShopRite till, and that will just get more and more options will be added. So I think Moya Paid is potentially a revolution in South Africa in terms of a wallet or a mobile wallet account store of value that actually makes sense to the average person in South Africa, as opposed to being another bank account which just costs them money.
And I assume, it will also be integrated into the Moya app, so anybody on the platform would be able to make use of these fintech services, right?
Yeah, so either websites, online content services in Moya can now enable transacting through Moya Paid, and we can do 50-cent transactions because the whole cost model is different. So micro transactions, I can be paid by anyone in Moya Paid using whatever app they prefer, but I could also go to a website that is not in Moya and pay with Moya Paid. I can go to shops where you see the equivalent, like QR codes, like Snapscan, Zapper, etc. There'll be a Moya Paid code and I can scan and pay it. So it's offline and online payment, and no fees to spend your money, no account charges. And small transaction are completely possible. 10 cents, 50 cents.
So is there a plugin? How would I use it on a website if I have one, like a WordPress site? How would I integrate it into my website?
No. So within we've just released it, to the market and building traction.
Okay.
But you, as a website, will have an API service within a month. So from your website, one of the payment options may be Moya Paid. The user says, yes, I want to pay with Moya Pay. They essentially put in their mobile number. You do a back-end integration with us. Say, this mobile number wants to pay this much. Do they have funds? Yes, they do. The user approves the payment, done. And nice. I should point out the merchant fee. So whenever you take a card transaction with current models of, card rails and so on, you're generally paying a 2-point-something, maybe 3-point-something% merchant fee for processing that transaction, for receiving the payment. The standard merchant fee for a Moya Paid payment is 1%. So it's half or a third of the cost of other payment options in market today, with less friction. In the case of Moya Paid, again, I'll show you, I can hold up a QR code and get paid. So I don't need a POS terminal. I don't need a mobile connection, that needs to have data because the whole thing's data free. And I'm not relying on a card payment going through a separate device for approval. It's all done in Moya Paid. It might be easy. It might be good to show you at some point what I'm talking about.
Yes, yes, indeed. I've actually been wanting to see it in action. I've seen it on my app, but haven't opened it or activated it yet. So yeah, please take it away.
So I'm just going to share my screen, which can you see that now?
Yeah.
Right. So this is Moya on my phone. This is live Moya on my phone. So I'm actually, I don't know if you can see me holding up my phone, but it's just showing on the screen. So in my messaging, there's all my messages. One of the innovations is we separate group chat from personal chat. So my group chats don't interfere with my inbox of personal chats. So this is my personal chats here. A message from Andrew McHenry just before we started the call, and on the right here are my group chat. So full featured chat functionality. I won't show you all of that detail because what you'd expect to find in WhatsApp, you find in Moya. The one thing I will point out is you can make phone calls. So you'll see at the top there, there's an icon to call or video call Andrew in this case. So I can start and calls are not data free. So it's the messaging again that's data free, but it is probably the most useful thing of messaging. So in Moya Pay, here's a whole bunch of websites. I can click on education and go and browse Wikipedia data free. So I'm now browsing.
Yeah, I've been impressed with the amount of education that is available on the app. I've actually been advocating it to everybody around me. I mean, obviously everything from young to old.
Yeah, so we have a big orientation. Yeah, we've got an orientation to useful value adding, there's impact value to the content. So we're much less about frivolous, light nonsense content. It's interesting content. We've got an extensive range of news, South African news and global news, as well as other countries like Zimbabwe. We have hundreds of thousands of people every day reading news in Moya. It's all very nice, very fast. It's much quicker than going to websites. Again, I'll stress this is live. I'm reading news from called SA News Live, but this is a partnership with Arena Holdings, who publish Times Live, Sowetan Live, and so on. It's a great way to read news, different categories. It's very quick and easy. Weather is extremely popular. This is a great weather service. What's the weather in Cape Town? I'm sitting in Joburg, but I can see what the weather in Cape Town is today. It's all data free, I'll stress. So there's weather, there's news, the sport is incredibly popular. We have a soccer app in Moya Pay for following live scores, real-time live updates, commentaries, and so on. So this is a schedule of matches happening today. So the big game tonight is, as we all know, England, Denmark. But I slide across and here's the results from yesterday. So during the game last night between Italy and Spain, I can see what's going on in the match in real time. There's minute by minute commentary as the game's unfolding. So we have some days 500,000 people in this app following the soccer.
That's a play-by-play, right?
Yeah, play-by-play. There's news. So I'll just go back to the play-by-play. There's commentary, there's lineup, there's stats of what happened during the game, and these are updated during the game, what the form and head-to-head is. It's an incredible array of soccer data with all the major leagues around the world, in Europe and in South Africa, of course. PSL is in here. Anyway, there's a comprehensive soccer app with nearly 2 million people a month use this soccer app in Moya.
Wow.
We're not on the radar screen of all the websites that get reported, regularly in South Africa, but I can tell you the audience in our soccer app is close to the biggest in South Africa for soccer.
It's impressive. Yeah.
So there's a whole bunch of stuff, and some of it is, we're monetizing. So, regularly every month, the whole ShopRite website is in this app. People can go and browse ShopRite, see the deals, check their loyalty points, etc. And ShopRite pay the data costs for all the users to engage with their website. And we deliver something like 100,000 users a month to ShopRite through Moya, engaging with their website. No ads at this point. You haven't seen an ad in Moya. So it's, ads are low key. So if I do read some news, I'm hoping an ad may pop up as I go through this. It's not happening, but there is a section in Moya. In the info section, there is a demo of what ads look like in Moya. So I'm reading that same news, and as I go through, a full screen video ad, like an Instagram stories ads, pops up. There's sound on it, and if I click on this ad, it's data free. So I'm clicking through to a data free website. And we make the website landing page data free. So the average click rate in Moya is 10 to 20%, not 1%, as you see in most online media. So it's a very powerful advertising platform. There's websites pay us to be in Moya. They can run ads as well if they want. We've got a full-blown research platform in here. So all the big research companies are working with us, Kantar, Ipsos, and various government agencies to research this audience through surveys and the like, with a formal panel of 50,000 registered users in the Moya panel that have full profiles that can be selected from in terms of running research studies. And it works really well. And for the first time ever, the research organizations on behalf of their FMCG customers can actually access this audience online, and there is no data cost. So there's no resistance to doing surveys and the like. The engagement rate with surveys is extraordinarily high compared to what you would normally see for online survey in normal channels. Really high. I mean, it's phenomenal. So that's Moya in a nutshell. So at the bottom here, you'll see there's chat, discover, and then Moya Paid. So this is live again. So there's either PIN or, in my case, biometric authentication to get into Moya Paid, much as you'd expect with any bank account. And then now looking at Moya Paid inside Moya. So you can see my balance in my Moya Paid account is 5,000 Rand, and there are various ways to get money in, get money out, and check my account and balances and transaction history. One of the most powerful things about Moya Paid is an opportunity to get paid. It's not just about paying, because a lot of people in South Africa are more worried about getting paid or earning money before they can think about paying. So a lot of other apps are focused on pay. You know, I won't use all the brand names. Facebook Pay hasn't launched here yet, but it's all, you know, put your card in and we'll make payment easy. Well, I don't have a card. I may or may not have a card, and I don't want to use it because I'm paying a transaction fee to my bank. But in Moya, with an orientation to first how you can get paid, you'll see this get paid option here. This is a universal QR code. This is my QR code for my Moya Paid account. And anyone with Moya Paid can scan and pay me, and it costs me nothing, costs them nothing. But more importantly, if you slide down here, you'll see any of those apps at the bottom can scan that code and pay me. So if you have Capitec, Nedbank, FNB Pay, ABSA, Standard Bank, Zappa, you can scan this code and pay me right now. So the opportunity to get paid for a casual worker, a domestic worker, getting a tip, a car security guy, you know, the gardener, the guy washing your car, or whatever it is. And I don't want to be sexist here. They can literally hold that up, and you can scan and pay with whatever you've got, and they get paid. No
what
cash.
About getting your money out and
they don't have to.
What about getting money out and paying for services? What about something?
So with the money out, I can pay other people. I can scan to pay codes, etc. I'll just find, so I can send money to any bank account, or my own, you know, I might have my own account registered, but I can send money to any bank account as it goes through as an EFT. I can save bank accounts to pay. I can, with prepaid, buy airtime, data on any network. This all happens in real time. So if I have value in my wallet, I could show you, but I won't take the time. I could buy an airtime top up for myself right now. And I'm doing it data free. So if I've run out of data and airtime, I don't need data to buy data, if you know what I mean, which is a frustration a lot of people have. I can buy an electricity voucher for my prepaid electricity, which is what I have at home in Cape Town. So this is the way I'll buy electricity. I can buy lotto. I can pay my DSTV bill, buy a coupon for a sports betting website. I can withdraw cash. I can go to any of these shops, Checkers, ShopRite right now, and we'll be adding more. I did this at the weekend. I went to a Checkers shop to the till point and said, I'd like a mobile withdrawal. I want to take out 100 Rand, please. And I did it. And all you do is generate. So I want to draw out, you know, 100 Rand, generate a token. So I'll get the token. Yes, I want to do that. And at the it'll display now. So at the checkout, the Checkers or ShopRite till, I can just either they can scan that QR code or read out the code that's displayed on the screen there, and they put it in, validated, and it's given. I get the cash. And it's in this,
You can also
yeah,
share
you can send tokens to other people to go to a retail outlet to draw the cash out. So, I mean, that's just a quick flavor of, there's obviously other things in Moya Pay, but it is full featured ways to get paid, transfer money from the banking system, transfer money out to the banking system. It's integrated with retail rails, so you can pay in shops, draw cash out at shops, pay each other. And it's, you know, at a much lower cost and mostly free compared to current digital or electronic payment, being paid or paying options.
Beautiful. I absolutely love the interface, to be honest with you. A lot of other services don't quite look after that.
So we deliberately designed, you know, a lot of UI, online, you know, digital UI is oriented to higher end devices, be it mobile, desktops, whatever. And we deliberately said, no, it's got to be kept as simple as possible using simple language, because the value proposition here isn't the sexiness of the user experience or the cleverness of it. It's actually just functional and adds value to people in their day-to-day lives, and it's cheap or free. And the whole thing's data free. So we very much oriented to keeping it simple. In fact, you know, I'll be honest, one of the benchmarks I looked at, you know, WeChat in China is used by 1 billion people. They use WeChat Pay all day, every day to pay for everything online, offline, whatever. So I went to look at how WeChat Pay does it, and, you know, looked at the UI design of that. Those guys have got something right, which is why Naspers is, you know, worth what it is today and why 1 billion people use it. So I didn't need to reinvent wheels. I just looked at benchmarks out there and said, no, I understand why they're doing that. We're going to, you know, let's adapt it for our needs. And of course, the thing we have that none of those other apps have is it's data free.
And we have a few apps that does something similar in the space in South Africa, but none of them that give it to you for free, right?
Well, a lot of the, yeah, I mean, a lot of the mobile network propositions are zero rated or data free on their network. So, you know, VodaPay is soon to launch in the market here, and they've proudly announced it won't be any data cost in Vodacom. Well, great. What about the other 70% of people out there? There is a data cost. So it's very important to us that,
I think the universal nature of it.
Yeah. So we have always oriented to it's data free for everybody, and we're not coming at it with an agenda of, you know, being a bank or a mobile network or anybody else. We're independent. We've, you know, spent a lot of time thinking hard about the needs of the average person in South Africa and what their pain points are in life and what would be of value to them. So I'm actually going out to Soweto tomorrow to spend time with one of our employees and people there to get on the ground feedback from people there about what Moya Pay means to them, what's good and bad about it, what we need to look at, or, you know, what they understand or don't understand. And I'm also talking to a guy in the taxi industry, because his immediate problem is every Monday he's got to pay his drivers. And if he's in KZN, you know, where his family live or he comes from, his challenge is how does he pay people cash when he's in KZN and they're in Soweto? So, you know, his wife does it or whatever. And the challenge is they've got to get the cash. There's a security issue walking around with cash. You've got to meet people face to face to pay them cash. In the case of Moya Pay, he just needs to say, get Moya Pay, it's data free, and he can pay them from anywhere, anytime, and at no cost.
Easy as that.
So we're also looking at models. We're about to announce a service called Moya Team Paid, so organizations can pay staff, whether they're employees, casual workers, agents, you know, temporary workers, people helping with NGOs or health departments in the vaccine rollout, or, you know, elections coming up. There's a whole bunch of people that need to be paid, whatever their status is. And one of the challenges is actually paying people, many of whom don't have a bank account or reluctant to use it. So Moya Team Paid will be an easy, very, very low cost way for an enterprise to pay people, whether it's 20 people or 20,000 or 50,000 people. And the cost of one pay run for Moya Team Paid will be R1.25, because there's one EFT transfer to an account and we distribute it to Moya Paid wallets, and the business is going to the fee will be R1.25, which is almost like saying zero compared to cost of how you pay people today, and the friction with people not always having bank accounts or switching and so on. So
yeah, the unbanked, that's definitely a conversation for another show. But on that note, thank you so much for introducing us to the Moya app paid functionality, as well as all the other functions in this amazing app. I've been a long-time fan, and I think especially on this wage bill side that you can pay, if you can pay in bulk like that, that's a pretty cool feature too. I look forward to hearing more about what you guys have coming up to in the future. So yeah, anybody wants to drop a comment below, let Gour and the team know what you think of the app. If you've used it before, let us know what you think, and if there's any other apps you'd like us to look at as well. But thanks for tuning in, and Gour, thank you so much to you. As always, we'll be bringing you another show, so please do tune back in very soon, and also keep an eye on appexplorers.com for more information on cool apps and games that you can play, all from a local perspective. Thank you so much, Gour.
thank you, Regardt. I really appreciate it, and look forward to chatting again.